know Ghana's group in the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and it could literally change everything for the Black Stars in the tournament next year. So the draw for the 2026 FIFA World Cup took place yesterday, and a lot of eyes were on the African teams. For the first time, an expanded format featuring a lot more African teams, the likes of South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia were all in the draw. And a lot of them actually got really favorable groups. You look at the likes of South Africa with Mexico in their group, a repeat of the 2010 opening game taking place this time around. Egypt has a fairly navigatable group. You see Tunisia as well with bits of leeway in their group. Cote d'Ivoire's group looks extremely tight. Senegal would struggle to qualify, but who knows? It's Senegal, right? Morocco as well look like a very strong contender in their group. Even Cape Verde, I mean, it's a really tough group, but I think it's very navigatable because of some of the other teams in there. And I think also DR Congo could potentially make it if they make it through the playoffs, and they are potentially in a group that look like it's manageable for the African team. One side though that unfortunately got a very tough draw this time around, a team that a lot of people were looking out for, was the Ghana Black Stars. They ended up all the way in Group L, and as the draw was going on, I kept on waiting and waiting to see when the Black Stars would be drawn. Unfortunately, we didn't make it into any of the manageable groups, especially those early groups, the likes of Canada, Mexico, and USA as the pot 1 teams. We made it all the way to the England side, and honestly, there are a few takeaways from the draw, some good and some not so good for the Black Stars, and why I think it could change everything for the Ghana national team in the tournament based on the aspirations we had before and the potential of this side to upset the odds and make it to the next round of the tournament, the round of 32. So let's talk about, first of all, the positives. So for the last few World Cups, we've seen Ghana drawn in groups where we've come up against sides we've faced before in World Cups. We saw 06 was the first time we had Italy, Czech Republic, USA. 2010 we had Germany, we had Serbia, I think, and then we had Australia. 2014 we had Germany again, we had the USA, and we had Portugal. And then in 2022 we had Portugal again, we had Uruguay again, and then South Korea. For the first time in a World Cup since we qualified for the first time in 2006, we have a group with teams we have never seen come up against the Black Stars in an international tournament. The likes of England, the likes of Panama, and then the likes of Croatia. On paper, a very tough group, right? You look at the likes of England, the star talents they have, one of the favorites to win the tournament according to the bookmakers, one of the highest ranked teams, one of the 4 highest ranked teams in the tournament. Euros, back-to-back Euros finalists, 2018 World Cup semi-finalists, stacked with talents, the likes of Harry Kane, the likes of Jude Bellingham, the likes of Bukayo Saka, the likes of Cole Palmer, the likes of Phil Foden. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Declan Rice, Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Like, there's no weak link in the England team. And for a lot of Black Stars fans, it's one of the games of the tournament, right? Thankfully, it's not the first game, because we know how you start the tournament kind of sets the pace for the rest of the tournament. We saw in 2022, the first game against Portugal, the loss kind of set the tone for the rest of the tournament. Similar in 2014. 2010, we got a win, and that set the pace for the rest of the tournament. So thankfully, England is not the first team we are facing. I think that is the toughest team we would face, just purely based on the amount of talent they have in the team, as well as the amount of experienced heads that have done it at a few tournaments now, the World Cup in 2018, 2022, and the 2 Euros that they've made it to the semi-finals. I think they would also be looking at Ghana as probably one of the toughest tests for them, because I'll get onto the other sides later, but they have never beaten Ghana in an international tournament. I don't think they'd be... I'll check the records actually, I'm not too sure, but I heard a stat this morning that they've not beaten the Ghana Black Stars facing them even in international friendlies. I remember, the one that comes to mind as a young man like myself is the 2012 friendly game where the game ended as a 1-1 draw, but that was a different Black Star side than this one. Let's look now to Croatia, the team that many people look at and say, this could potentially be the second best team in the group. Now, here's why I don't think that is exactly the case. This Croatia side tend to defy the odds, we know. From making it to the World Cup final in 2018 against the odds, time and time again, they've proven to be one of the very best sides in the world. When they went to the 2022 World Cup, nobody gave them a chance. I remember looking at that team and saying that, yeah, this team is well past their best. They faced off against Morocco in the group stage. They couldn't get a win. I think they drew against Morocco. But as the tournament went on, they grew and grew into it. And you saw the likes of Luka Modric, you saw the likes of, Pasalic, Perisic, Kovacic, Brozovic. These were established veterans who had a lot of experience and managed to make it all the way to the semi-finals, once again only losing out to, I think, Argentina in what was a very tough match for them. Fast forward now to 2026, 4 years later, and a lot of that core side still remain. Livakovic is still their goalkeeper. You have Gvardiol, who is probably the youngest established player in that side, but Modric is still going strong, relatively strong. He's in the MLS, I think, now. Maybe fact check me on that. You have Kovacic at City, who is a bit part player. Brozovic and the likes are, getting up there in terms of age. I'm not sure Perisic is still playing, but I think if there's any time that the Ghana Black Stars could face off against this Croatia team, I think it's right now. It's giving shades of, remember Serbia in the 2010 World Cup and Czech Republic in the 06 World Cup. On paper, a team that looked like they were stacked with talent. You look at 06, that Czech Republic side, they were second best in the world at the time. And they had the likes of Peter Cech, they had the likes of the guy who won the World Cup, Pavel Nedved, Rosicky, and yet Ghana managed to beat them and beat them quite comfortably. You look at Serbia in 2010 with the likes of Vidic and Ivanovic in their side, and yet Ghana managed to come through as 1-0 winners. I don't think that this is a shoe-in for the European side, despite the fact that they actually made it to the Nations League quarterfinals just this year. They managed to beat France in that Nations League tournament, and they managed to put up a good fight against Portugal. I think they are well coached, but they are giving me shades of a team that much is expected of, similar to Belgium in the last World Cup, similar to Italy under Marcello Lippi in the 2010 World Cup after they were champions in 06. I think this might be a step too far for them, and I think that they will struggle here. I mean, maybe it's pure optimism as a Ghana fan, you can see as a Ghanaian, but I don't know, it's giving shades of like a team that is expected to do well, a team that a lot of people are looking at as the team to beat, despite the fact that they've made it to back-to-back World Cup semi-finals, a World Cup final in 2018, a Nations League quarter-final as well. I think this is a World Cup where it will begin to unravel a bit, and they need to actually start looking at a new generation in that Croatia team. And last but certainly the least, in my opinion, Panama. Now, you know what's crazy actually? I was looking at the group today and the World Cup ranking of the teams in the group. Ghana is 70th, around the 70th best team in the world. You know where Panama is? 30th. 30th. So they are telling me that Panama is top 30 best national teams in the world. I actually call BS on that. Honestly, I call BS on that. There's no reason why Panama should have been in pot 3 and Ghana should have been in pot 4. I think if Ghana don't underestimate this Panama team, they should manage to beat them and beat them quite handily. I do not know on which planet Panama is a higher ranked nation than the Ghana Black Stars. And honestly, thank goodness this is our opening game. I hope we don't underestimate it in a similar fashion to the way we underestimated the USA in the 2014 World Cup. It will set the tone for the rest of the World Cup. If we get a good result, and I believe we can do so with the kind of talent we have, if we get a good result against Panama, it's kind of sets the tone for the rest of the tournament. We face Croatia after that, so if we can get a win, the 3 points in the Panama match, we get a draw, even a draw, but potentially a win against Croatia, then the game against England, we can go in fairly comfortable, fairly confident that despite whatever happens, similar to how we went into the Germany game in 2010, we'll play our best football. Despite what happens, we are going to make it through, and then the rest of the tournament is essentially just figuring out how to be the teams that come up against us. Honestly, this isn't the best draw we could have had, and I think a lot of Ghanaians are having a bit of a knee-jerk reaction to seeing the likes of the names of England and Croatia. But if you really break it down and deep it, I think this is a group that Ghana can not win, but at least make it through as either one of the second best or third best teams in the tournament quite handily. They are much more equipped to do well in this group than, take for example, Senegal, take for example, Cape Verde, take for example, DR Congo, take for example, even Morocco. For a weird reason, I think Morocco will struggle this time around in their group. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. What chance do you give Ghana of making it far in this World Cup based on this group draw? We know odds have shifted based on the draw. Argentina have, gone up in the rankings ever since they had their draw in a fairly winnable group. I know Ghana's odds will probably go down, having seen the likes of England in the draw, seen the likes of Croatia in their draw. Let me know what you think, guys. I'll actually break down more of this World Cup as and when it's getting closer to the tournament. I think there are a lot of major talking points with the likes of the players we have and the experience they have playing in the English Premier League against some of the best players in England, like the likes of Bukayo Saka, with the likes of Partey, his experience with Rice and Saka, Semenyo against Premier League English defenders, Jordan Ayew, Kudus against Premier League and English defenders. So we'll break all of that down. Today is just like a first reaction to the draw, each team, and how I think Ghana stacks up against them and how well I think they will do in the World Cup, purely based off this first impression. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section, guys. And if you enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel Oyibo Sports, and as always, killers, I go see you for streets.